Hello everyone, I'm Tatiana Zalan. I'm a moderator here on the panel on VC investments in blockchain. And we have a couple of panel participants here. And let's start with just a brief introduction of who we are, who you are obviously, and what you're doing in the blockchain space.
Should I go first? Okay,
Yes, please.
I'm John from Envelope Holdings. So we're based in Dubai, Abu Dhabi. I originally come from Korea, got involved in blockchain, I think, as a sort of a hobby or passion project around 2017, right when I saw, I think, Vitalik's TechCrunch speech while I was in SF for a startup that I was with back then. And then we kicked off this envelope just last year. So it's a really pretty young fund. And what's interesting about us is that we have sort of Asian backers and Asian partners that are interested in the region, and not just Middle East, but more sort of developing countries that can really sort of adapt blockchain and cryptocurrencies and sort of drastically make impacts in the traditional finance system. So this fintech, financial services, or DeFi is our sort of key focus as a fund.
Okay, thank you, John. What about you, Sam?
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm Sam Lee, founder and CEO of ConStreet. We are set up in 2017. So my personal background, I have been doing financing for technology company for over 20 years, since the dot-com. So I was on the IPO team of the first internet company listed in Hong Kong, and then boom and bust, with the dot-com, and I stayed with the industry, did many things like e-commerce, mobile payment, connected device. In 2016, just the natural evolvement of the industry, I involved in blockchain. And in 2017, I collaborate with a traditional investment bank in Hong Kong called BMI Group with 25 years of history. So they have done 100 IPO already in Hong Kong. So we create ConStreet just to create investment banking for the token world. So we have done many projects so far, and now very focused on security tokens.
Okay, thank you. And Ahmed?
Thank you first for having me, and it's a pleasure to be with the gentleman here. I'm Ahmed Rafai. I'm the CEO of GBI, Global Partners Investments. We are a UK investment firm, more into the direct investment ventures. We used to do all the listed equity and debt and ETFs, all the liquid assets for a couple of years. But since 2018, we started introducing alternative investments to our investors in terms of private equity, venture capital, some of the hedge fund techniques like leverage products, all these stuff. And we started looking into the VC industry, and part of it was the blockchain technology. We were so skeptical at the beginning because, it's a new. My background is computer engineering, and then I tapped into asset management and finance, investment, trading, all these stuff, and business administration as well. So I hold both kind of qualifications and degrees, both sides of the coin. I'm a little bit aware into the details, but when it comes to the investors or our clients, they are more institutional, more sovereign funds, central banks and stuff. So when you speak with them about blockchain, a lot of red flags, question marks, and there's stuff like looking at us and what are you talking about? So we needed to educate them more. So we spent around a year until we got them to understand what is this technology about. We are not into cryptocurrencies. We are more into the blockchain technology itself. That doesn't mean that we discard the cryptocurrencies at all. We're still looking at them, but we still don't feel that they are mature enough to offer them to our clients or to tap into them from our own pool of funds.
Okay.
So this
Right,
is briefly what we do.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
Yes.
And just a quick question. In 2017, Richard Kesslerlein wrote a very famous article in Harvard Business Review where he said that ICOs are coming and the venture capital industry should be paying attention, and it caused quite a stir in Silicon Valley. So what then there was a period of craze in 2017, then it all went down. So how do you see investments, VC, or your place as VC funds in all this big picture relative to, say, ICO and STOs as well? Maybe we can start with Sam.
Sure. Well, I think, now we see the crash happen and people might think he's wrong. I think he's half right? Because the actual token is really taking the financial and capital market to the next level. Well, it's just that when he make the statement, it's still at the early stage, and this whole security token concept almost doesn't exist yet, which is a natural evolvement now. The whole industry is actually going there. But on the other aspect, even for ICO, which mainly related to utility tokens, is also have a great impact to VC, because when they're investing in early stage company, the company can still effectively do a lot of pre-sale of product and service, because utility token basically is pre-sale of product or service, which improve the cash flow of the company and help them to get off the ground. Is basically cloud funding on steroid, But what ICO is not is about it is not an effective way to reflect the corporate value, because it is not a security, And also it's not an effective way for exit, Because some people at the time might be, I invest, VC invest, and then they exit with ICO. That might not be a good strategy, But now I think for the industry now evolve with complementary of security tokens, it could create a huge impact to VC, definitely.
John Ahmed, do you have anything to add to this?
Let's start with John.
I think I sort of agree with most of what Sam has said, and definitely what I want to sort of emphasize more is that during the winter that we have all sort of taken a step back and looked into different utility tokens, and is it really valuable? We've looked into different projects, even the massive projects like Polkadot or Cosmos, or which have taken us our hearts by storm. But when it comes to the creating utility and value for the users and the ecosystem, there's just still a big question marks. And I think what us as a VCs or investors can do is that put a framework on what truly is good investments and what can be a scam even, because a lot of these ICOs, I think the problem was that a lot of the retail investors or the enthusiasts that came into the scene and without base knowledge in investments, and it was just dog eat dog world, and pump and dump was the sort of a fashion, right?
I agree with John to a great extent, because for us we have been all skeptical about ICOs. We didn't ever at any point in time consider them an investment asset or an instrument even for entering the market. Maybe from the point of view that you mentioned about being a security or not, in some legal way you can term them as a security, because even if it's a utility token, it doesn't have any security or any shareholding or any physical material holding in the company, but you are promising the client or the investor or the holder of the token, even if it's a utility token, you're promising him or her a cash flow from the future. You're promising a future cash flow. So it can be considered somehow a security, like a derivative or a contract for difference. Maybe I had this discussion before with Prem on one of the recorded videos about fundraising and stuff. So we were discussing the different instruments about raising funds and how projects can gain access to funds. But ICOs, we until now we don't see that, even STOs as well, we don't see them as a viable, good way of raising funds or for investors or investment vehicles to enter the market. We look into direct equity or direct debt financing into blockchain VCs that provide the blockchain or add the blockchain touch or blend in the project as a feature or as one of the sides or the technology disruptors that's gonna set this business apart from the peers. Or so it's don't come to me and say like we are doing blockchain. No, tell me what's your business, what's your solution, how you are providing gains for the users and the investors, how you are relieving pains, and tell me that one of your technologies or even your core main technology is blockchain. As any other company, maybe Uber comes and say like, hey, we are easing and facilitating riding, and we are making the taxi experience or limousine experience much more better. It's okay, but don't come and say like, hey, it's a blockchain. Everybody's just misusing and abusing the term.
I can see.
You know, it's more of DLT. Like, let's name it what it is: distributed ledger technology, which is something hashing and database and stuff. It's nothing new. So, but the commercial, I like the idea.
Yeah.
That whoever who just coined blockchain and threw it into the market, he's a brilliant guy or a brilliant lady, whoever he is, and it went viral. I truly respect that, but we got harmed, and even the investors as well got more harmed than us by not understanding exactly what it's about. To promise something that it would take you to the moon and back, and it's a solution to everything, and this is the final destination. No, there is no final destination. We will keep walking and running on the road, and the goal is to remain on the wide road, but there is no end.
Okay.
I
So
think
it's a
there's
very
still-
technologist view. I can see, yeah.
I think there's still a lot of confusion between ICO and STO. Right? I often hear people compare the two, but we shouldn't, right? You don't compare your Apple stock
To
with
orange,
a Starbucks coupon.
Huh?
They're just two different things, right? ICO utility token can help a company with cash flow by pre-selling product and service, right? Which they don't have. It's just like crowdfunding, right? People sell 100 coffee machine and get the money to build it, right? That's a good concept for a startup company. But I think STO, but on the other hand, I think it could be very meaningful in
ICOs were
investment
because
vehicles as well.
the difference you're talking about, I think we should look as well, maybe because I come from the buy side, from the financial side, so I'm more concerned into how we're gonna structure this or fix it, how it's gonna serve my portfolio.
But absolutely, STO is structural finance, okay?
Yes, but ICO used to bypass all the hassles, all the tedious, the time-consuming process of traditional VC investing, like going through all the. Okay, but it eliminates a lot of the rights. It eliminates a lot of the security, like securing the rights and the investments of the investors and securing the project itself. So ICO was meant to bypass all these tedious things to get you instant financing, but this is an ideal world that doesn't exist. As the soonest you put it on friction with the street, with the market, it crashes.
Well,
STOs raises that was supposed to solve this thing by providing security token offering, so there is an equity underlying, you're holding something. But this brings, again, the hassle of regulations. ICOs were meant to eliminate regulations, but when we tried to solve the problems with ICOs and went to STOs, we've seen ourselves going back again to where we started, with hassling with all the regulations again, because when you offer it as an STO, which jurisdiction? Do we have regulations or not? You're calling, so it's a dilemma, you know. So it's, you have to sacrifice one to get the other.
Yeah. Let's move probably a little bit on to a different question. You all come from different places. So what's the scene, the VC investment scene in blockchain and cryptocurrencies in your respective markets? Very briefly, please.
I think I can talk about UAE, Korea. So I'm a Korean by birth. All right. So Korea, I think, is quite different because Korea has been at the epicenter of what we just talked about, ICOs and pretty much like it has sort of
But the government don't like.
Government is still in a gray zone. There is no dislike or hate or like about the whole crypto scene, but. I think Korea is going through a sort of the educational phase where a lot of the ICOs have died down, and what the VCs are looking for is sort of a mixed deal, where you will put in some in equity and you'll also gain immediate financial gains by putting into the pre-IEO sort of projects. And when I moved to UAE here, I mean, if I talk about projects here, there is literally like a handful that I think we can invest in crypto space, or it's really embryonic sort of stage. But having said that, there is a great potential here with the push from the government and like a lot of the bigger corporations coming into the scene, whether it's ICO or STO. I think EMA just announced that they're going to tokenize their different real estate assets. So that's I think a very interesting move out here, and we will be happy to sort of continue our investments here.
Oh. Sam?
Well, from where I come from, we cover actually, the whole Asia. Like, our base in Hong Kong, but we also very active in Korea and Japan, Singapore. Investment in blockchain project is very strong, from the VC equity, strict equity. Cryptocurrency sort of dying down, but Bitcoin is still very strong. There's a lot of Bitcoin trading in Asia, and we see STO is coming big. Okay, this is actually, I think the market penetration and adoption is faster than many people realized. Okay, for example, in Korea, they never have the regulation, During ICO days, crypto, they officially launched the sandbox program just 2 weeks ago, right? Like identify Busan is 1 hour from Seoul as the city for all this, right? In Japan, we all know the banks, traditional banks in Japan move not very fast, they're very conservative. But just a few weeks ago, the top 6 banks, investment banks, brokerage firm, they formed a Japan Security Token Association, actually trying to come up with best practice and lobby the government to have the regulation sooner, right? So now we see the bank is thriving. And in Hong Kong, back in March this year, our regulator SFC already issued a guideline, a statement stating STO is legal in Hong Kong, but of course it need to follow a lot of traditional regulation, like security requirement. For example, it require what they call a security type 1 license firm, which is a broker dealer, to do the due diligence, onboarding and things like that. And same in Singapore also have a framework. So we see all of a sudden a few major financial centers, right? I'm talking about the focus is major financial centers, right? Because when we dealing with ICO, people go to smaller countries, right?
You need liquidity, never drive liquidity unless you have a massive population.
To avoid regulation, as you said, right? But for STO, it's all about liquidity. So major financial center, they all moving in parallel, right? So I think maybe by Q1, Q2 next year, we will see very interesting development in the market.
We hope to. Every year we hear, by next year, we're going to hear about regulations and stuff, and next year comes and they say, hey guys, next year, and okay, so there's no problem with moving in slowly. We don't have problem with that. We don't require it to be fast like this, because fast things come up with problems, with mistakes, with a lot of sacrificing, with a lot of victims being crushed in the middle. In response to your question directly and precisely when it comes to VC funds and VC investors, let's talk, for example, about Silicon Valley. We have been in touch with some of the funds in Silicon Valley who were fundraising to inject in some projects, and others who have money that they need to deploy. Others come from Asia and Japan, from the far Asian center. Japan is trying to break through into this mechanisms of crypto blockchain or decentralized finance, but they are trying to centralize it somehow. So it's going to be semi-centralized. And believe it or not, like it or not, I'm a very big advocate of blockchain and decentralization and democracy and all this stuff. Okay, but I'm afraid that it's not going to work. Decentralized or centralized. It's going to be semi-decentralized. We need, because people will always need something to rely on. it's about the psychology. This is what I've been saying for more than 2 years. That all those guys dealing in the crypto space and blockchain, they're talking about the technology and how good is it, and it's gonna be the savior of humanity. It's gonna be the savior of the planet, of savior of our galaxies and Jedi's of Star Wars. And great. I like the enthusiasm. I like the passion. I like the impatience. But people always need something to refer to or rely upon. People don't like to take the responsibility. They always like someone to be accountable.
Right.
Responsible for the things. That's why VC funds right now, and recent Harvard, for example, like recently, they have been discussing and talking about crypto investments, and now they are looking into the field. Maybe this is a good news for a lot of projects. And recent Harvard is just looking like a 10B fund, And even in Asia as well, you'll find Sequoia there.
Yeah.
And they are searching all over the place because the VC model. Some people say that it's broken. I don't believe in that. No, it's not broken. It's doing good, but the problem is that they can't spot or determine the right projects. It's saturated. The market's saturated. Every day we hear about a new fund being set up, a new PE fund, a new VC fund somewhere in the world. So it seems like all people now are VC investors and PE funds. So where they're going to invest to? In each other?
Yeah.
So we need to structure it well. It's not going to work this way, guys.
I have a very quick question about probably what kind of advice can you give to entrepreneurs in the blockchain space, because you're investors, maybe some mistakes that they're making all the time that they would like to, or you would like them to avoid from. So very quickly, probably, do we start with you, Jen?
Yeah, I think, we are a startup ourselves, like how we function and we build companies. So I think one thing that we wanted to focus on from the very beginning is that we need to have a business model that can actually create a revenue. So a lot of these projects that come to us are saying that they have like this grandiose vision that they're going to achieve in the next like 5 to 10 years, change the world. Like quasi-matrix sort of world will be created, but mate, like if you're going to create that world, who's going to make money and who's going to raise the cows, and to milk it, you have to answer those hard questions. And I think whether you're doing like blockchain or crypto or any other business, come up with a clear business model, clear revenue model, clear road to market. That's just simply the basics.
The basics of VC investing. Yeah.
Well,
are you any different, Sam?
No, I totally agree. And just adding to that, I think is many entrepreneurs, they get so excited by the vision and the product they try to build. It is not about the product. It's about the problem they're trying to solve. Right? It starts with the problem, not the product. And that's how you create value. And only if they can create value in solving problem, people are willing to pay.
Yeah. It's that simple.
I'm not going to repeat what they say. I'm going to try to add something or talk from a different perspective as an investor. Projects, when they come from the blockchain industry, they are so fond with their idea, they fall in love with their business model, and they don't want to change it or have any discussion about it. So please, for projects, when they come to investors, you need to have a business plan, a well-articulated one. And you need to have a very good scenario analysis of your financial model. I need to see different scenarios, not just one, not just what you believe in. What you believe in, maybe the market doesn't believe in it. It's not about the best, it's about the most suitable. So they need to understand this. So please come with a well-articulated, well-drafted business plan. A lot of those projects, they just speak about the technology. And they are so sophisticated in the technology, but they are, I'm sorry to say this, but most of them are so ignorant about finance, economy, investor behavior, market sentiment. You need to incorporate all of this. It's about behavioral finance, guys. It's not about how the tech is so fancy and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what should be a brief. But please have a business plan, because most of them they say, old school legacy systems. I need them. You need my money, I need those.
Yeah, I need a solid business plan. Yeah.
Straightforward.
Yeah, and on this note, that's all we've got time for today. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.